Story 1. I do not have anything to hide, but I would be very concerned about why they are suddenly suspicious. Story 2. This is tricky. Actively wanting to search through your phone, messages, and so on can be a red flag. However, my husband and I have complete access to each other's accounts and information. We do not look, but it is convenient and would come in handy if something awful happened to one of us. I think intention is what makes the difference here. Story 3. I have nothing to hide, but my partner is not entitled to the texts my friends send me about their lives. Even if I am willing to tell him everything about myself, I have a responsibility to respect my friend's privacy. I think that if you need to look through each other's phones, there is a troubling lack of trust that needs to be addressed. Story 4. Absolutely not. My friends share things with me that they do not necessarily want my partner to know, and their trust and privacy are important to me. If my partner cannot trust me, they should not date me. Story 5. Suspicious people are mentally draining. They may have valid reasons from their past for not trusting others, but that is their issue to work through, not something to address by demanding absolute transparency from a partner. Life is too short. Story 6. I would be mad that he forgot the password, since I have told him thousands of times. Story 7. I do not have anything to hide, but being required to give access to my messages and private conversations with friends would upset me because it would violate my privacy and the privacy of friends who confide sensitive matters they do not want shared. My husband works in the same building as my best friend, who would sooner go on an adventure with me than have an affair with my husband, and he does not really talk to anyone online. My immediate assumption would be that he thinks I am cheating with one of the friends I met or talked to online. I am not, for the record, so it would be very upsetting and hurtful and would make me question why he thinks that. I would also feel heavily monitored and no longer trusted, even if we talked it out. Story 8. I do not have a partner, so this would be very concerning. Story 9. People deserve their privacy. I trust my partner and she trusts me. I do not have an interest in going through her phone. If she went through mine, she would not find anything unusual. Story 10. She can already do this anytime she wants. She has the password and a fingerprint registered for her. I can do the same with hers. We do not hide things from each other. Story 11. I am 54 and have been married for 7 years. We have had each other's passcodes since we became serious. It is not an issue for me and apparently not for him. Story 12. My partner already has my passwords and personal identification numbers. I trust them not to use them in creepy, invasive ways, and they do not. Story 13. I find that behavior creepy and strange. There should be trust in a relationship, not demands to see everything you do. Story 14. That is a sign that they don't trust you and want to control you. Say the same back and see how they react. Story 15. Absolutely not. I have a right to privacy and it does not mean I am hiding anything. For what it is worth, my partner of 19 years and I do not share phones, computers, or passcodes. We trust each other and respect each other's privacy. Story 16. I do not have anything to hide, but I would still like to have privacy. I would not appreciate them not trusting me, and I would be suspicious of them projecting their feelings onto me. Story 17. Trust issues depend on the context. In a new relationship, this may indicate he has trust issues and could be a red flag. You can either walk away or help him work on it. In an established relationship, sudden distrust is concerning. If you have done nothing to break trust, ask whether he has discovered something. Discuss it with him to understand his reasons. Trust should go both ways. In our case, we use the same method to unlock our phones and have registered each other's fingerprints. That works well for us. Story 18. What stage of the relationship are we at? I like sharing my location with my partner because it is a matter of convenience. For example, when deciding if it is a good time to call or when finding them in an obscure area where we are supposed to meet. I do not want to share messages or app conversations. I am sure she and her friends have conversations they prefer to keep private, and the same goes for me and my friends. I definitely do not want her to have unfettered access to my Reddit post history. I would stand by what I say, but having to justify it to anyone would be work. Story 19. Your partner is projecting. I would be suspicious of that request. My wife and I never hide things from each other. But I never asked for access. When she wanted to give me her passwords to see something, that was fine, but I never entered her accounts without her knowledge. Likewise, I have a complicated screen lock on my phone. She never bothered to learn it, even though I showed it to her. Story 20. I am so boring they would regret looking into it. But part of the deal would be that I would have full access to theirs as well. Will I find something juicy inside? Or will they be just as boring? Story 21. It was never a concern until an ex began accusing me of cheating. To summarize this long story, I let her look at my phone several times. She found nothing but remained upset. Later, while we were on vacation, she used my phone for hours while I slept and admitted it on the way home. I left her a week later, but soon after I discovered all of my money was missing. My credit and debit cards were drained. Every dollar was gone and my accounts were overdrawn by thousands of dollars. During my investigation with detectives, I learned that on the night she accessed my phone, she had opened various banking and payment apps. She sent photographs of my accounts and the contents of my wallet to someone who used them to drain my funds through refund scams. She also transferred $800 to herself from my Venmo account. The police recovered texts from her to the other perpetrator instructing him to take as much money as possible if we broke up. Now my phone is on severe lockdown with a long passcode. It does not leave my sight. It is either in my pocket, in my hand, or locked and face down in front of me. Nobody touches it but me. Never use the same or similar passwords for multiple accounts. Certainly do not tell your significant other those passwords without a serious discussion first, and make sure they are trustworthy. The man who actually stole my money went to prison. I did not pursue serious charges against my ex because her accomplice had been caught. I wanted it to be over. I did go to court over the $800, which was ordered returned to me. She did not have the money, but I agreed to accept a check from her parents that was filled out in front of the judge and handed to me. The refund scheme was partially successful, but I managed to recover every cent from all parties and entities involved. A hotel in Switzerland that was part of the scheme even offered me 3 free nights. My bank waived the overdraft fees, and everything was resolved. Story 22. It is not that big of a deal. It becomes a big deal if you do not trust your partner. After years together, your partner likely knows your social security number, your bank account numbers, and many passwords. They are the person closest to you, the one you expect never to lie to. You share a home, finances, food, a bed, pets, and bars of soap. You introduce them to every family member, tell them your deepest secrets, and they have seen you when you are vulnerable. You make future plans with this person. Yet there might be something on their phone you are not supposed to see. Listen, I have not gone through my wife's phone in years, maybe only a couple of times. I do not feel the need because I believe she has nothing to hide. She would have no issue if I used her phone while she slept. She does not protect her password, and I trust her. But if suddenly the password changed and she said she did not want me on it, I would have trust issues and I would want to look through it. It is important to have mutual trust and mutual boundaries. Some couples trust each other but do not want the other to touch their phone. That is fine for them. In my opinion, 9 times out of 10 they are both cheating or doing something shady. Story 23. I don't have a partner, but if I did, I'd ask for the same access to their phone. If they refused, I'd start making an escape plan. I'm not going to face the end of this democracy with someone I can't trust. Story 24. Personally, I have nothing to hide and I am in an open relationship. But if someone approached me and demanded that, I would immediately remove them from my life. Story 25. I would not mind as long as 1. There is reciprocity. 2. He may read my messages but must not reply to anyone, edit, delete, or share messages, photos, or videos without my knowledge and consent. 3. He must not tamper with my Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft Teams, or any other work applications, because that data must remain within the organization and I would be adversely affected if it leaves. 4. He must not spend any of my money without my knowledge and consent. including transfers through banking applications, Venmo, online shopping, and similar services. Story 26. Okay, I have no problem with them knowing my personal identification number, but if they're checking my apps every day, searching for reasons, then I'll have an issue. If you're that insecure, we'll just break up and I'll move on. Story 27. I would rather not. I do not need to hear about how unorganized my phone is all the time or what is that font, or explanations of anything I have sent to others because she did not find it funny, which is why I did not send it to her. If she gave me an ultimatum or something similar, I would have an issue with her trying to control me more than with her finding something on my phone. Story 28. On the one hand, if you are doing anything that would cause problems if your partner knew, that is your problem. On the other hand, if they distrust you enough that they feel the need to look regularly, that is their problem. Story 29. My partner is already allowed to do that. They only need to ask. Story 30. The reality is, if this is your situation, your partner is either very insecure or unfaithful. The main problem is a lack of trust in the relationship, and without trust, it will not last long. For example, my phone is never locked. She can access it whenever she wants. I do not receive strange messages or act secretive around my phone. She has no desire to look at it because there are no warning signs in our relationship. The same goes for her. Her phone is not always at her hip, and now she is out with her girlfriends for a birthday party. I am not planning to verify this or check her phone when she returns. We both have our freedoms, but most importantly, we trust each other. I once had a girlfriend who insisted on inspecting my phone. As you might guess, I eventually found out she was cheating on me with multiple people. Did that make me trust women less? No. It made me lose trust in her. I broke up with her and moved on. I was not going to bring that baggage into a new relationship. Did it teach me that someone who does not trust me might have something to hide? Yes. But my wife never acted this way while we dated or after we married. So it is a non-issue now. Listen to your gut. You know this is not healthy behavior. Even if you cave to resolve the conflict, it will not go away. If you do not address the root cause, it will only get worse. A coworker once told me she could not join us for lunch because her husband gives her a lunch allowance and would know if she did not spend it at the agreed place. I looked at her in disbelief. I said nothing since it was none of my business, but I am sure that is not healthy and will not last long. Story 31. When I was with my ex, she had full access to everything I owned. She even found a nude picture I had forgotten to delete when I was cleaning my phone before we met. I had been getting rid of pornography on my phone for my own mental well-being months before meeting her. I was not trying to hide it. She found it and I explained I had missed it. She always had access to my phone, and I never felt the need to take it away. Toward the end of our relationship, she stopped rummaging through my phone. It felt like she did not want me to go through hers, as if thinking that if she did not look through my phone, I could not look through hers. She told me she had messages from a man at work with whom she was emotionally and later physically involved, which she did not want me to see. I no longer had access to her phone. She changed her behavior and was aware at all times where her phone was. If I changed music on her Spotify while she was driving or elsewhere, she seemed more attentive to where I was on her phone. If I enter another relationship, I will have nothing to hide. If I can trust the other person, I would let them have full access to my phone. Story 32. I do not care. She knows my code, and I leave my phone lying around. I never really thought about it. Story 33. We already have full access. It's called a good marriage. No secrets. Story 34. My partner and I set up Face ID on each other's phones. It was a joint decision. Neither of us had doubts. We thought it could be useful in emergencies. I recommend doing this only if you fully trust the other person. If they want to do it to look at chats and messages, then the trust is already broken. Story 35. He had better not look at my frog memes. I have not sent them to him yet. Story 36. We have our iPhones on the same account because of the large collection of music and movies she has. We know each other's personal identification numbers. I do not care. We have been married for 21 years. Story 37. Let them. I do not have anything I need to hide. Well, except Family Guy pornography. Story 38. Other people trust me with their secrets. Some of those cannot be shared, not even with my partner. They are not my secrets to reveal, and it is an absolute deal breaker. Story 39. My wife can look at my phone anytime she wants, and I can look at her phone or tablet anytime I want. Neither of us has ever done it because I have no reason to. We trust each other. Anyone who demands to look at their partner's phone is either very insecure or thinks their partner is up to something dodgy. Story 40. No. I have nothing to hide. But that is mine, and you are not allowed to handle it without permission and supervision. Story 41. If they ask for that, no. I have nothing to hide, so you can look at or use my phone whenever. I do not care. Being asked in advance to have access to everything feels like a sign of controlling behavior, and I have already been in that kind of relationship, so no thanks. If you are not ready to trust someone, do not seek a relationship. Seek therapy instead. It might seriously help. I still suffer some after effects from a past relationship with that kind of person. Never again. Story 42. If my husband asked for unlimited access to my phone, I would probably say no. Not because I have something to hide. Rather, as an adult, I expect some privacy to be respected by my partner. I extend the same respect in return. Story 43. I would be okay with people going through my phone and personal content, but I would not be okay if it were a sudden burst of paranoia or a sign of lack of trust. Story 44. Everyone deserves the right to privacy. If you cannot trust your partner, why are they your partner? Story 45. Absolutely not. Just because I am with someone does not mean I do not deserve privacy. They do too. If they need to use my phone for a specific reason and they ask, that is fine. That does not mean I will allow them to look through my messages or apps. If they feel they need full access, then they do not trust me and can move on to someone they trust. Story 46. Being in a relationship does not mean you give up your right to privacy. Trust is important. Story 47. While I don't have anything to hide, why are they suddenly suspicious? A suspicious mind usually has something to hide. Story 48. Here, honey, check out how absolutely uninteresting I am. Laughing out loud. Story 49. Why would you want to look through someone else's phone? Unless you suspect them of cheating, it is a strange thing to do. Story 50. If I receive the same in return, then yes. If the answer is no, they will not only be denied access to their phone, they will stop being my partner. You either trust me or you do not. If you do not trust me, I do not want you around. Story 51. In every relationship where my girlfriend or wife accused me of cheating, she was the one who cheated. That is a red flag. Story 52. Okay, but I think my workplace might be annoyed that she is reading my email in Slack. I doubt she wants to. Story 53. My boyfriend has access to my phone at any time, but I also have access to his phone. He does not check my phone or look through my messages because I have never given him a reason to be suspicious. Story 54. The lack of trust would irritate me and make me suspicious. My husband and I know each other's lock screen codes. Story 55. Nope. It's a hard stop. If you don't like it, then I guess we are done. Outside of some porn I occasionally look at, yes, I'm a single man and I look at porn, here's what's on my phone. Social security numbers for me and my daughter, my father's medical records, all my financial information, all my passwords for bank, credit, and payment accounts, credit reports, private work information my employer would not want outsiders to see, search history including any surprises I'm planning for her, some Amazon purchases made for others that would be hard to explain, and very private conversations meant only for my eyes with several close friends. I'm not compromising my entire life security to satisfy someone else's insecurity. Our phones are extensions of our brains nowadays. I don't share that with anyone. Story 56. Go for it. I do not have anything to hide, but I would like to know why they feel the need to do so in the first place. Story 57. My answer is no. I am totally open to a rational, level-headed conversation between two adults. Tell me what you want to know, but I decline snooping. My phone is like a diary. Story 58. My wife and I have always had full access to everything electronic and otherwise. Neither of us has anything to hide, so we do not look at each other's messages or mail, although we could. It seems like the basics of a relationship. Story 59, sure. If I have the same access to their phone, they will not have access to my banking apps. Story 60, no problem. She can mine anytime. My phone does not even lock. There is nothing on it to steal. If I lose the phone, I only lose a few pictures and 2000 MPEG audio layer 3 files. Story 61. That is not healthy behavior. Set firm boundaries. If those boundaries are not respected, the relationship is unhealthy and likely already over. Executive decisions were made by one person without the other's consent. Story 62. She has, and so have I. It has been that way from the start, going on 11 years now. I find it baffling that people can be so uncomfortable having that sort of thing open. What possible reason could someone have to want it kept hidden? Your privacy? She has seen my balls closer up than I have, and she is still here. I do not mind if she can read my messages. I am laughing out loud. Story 63. I feel like it would be really boring to go through my phone. I certainly do not have anything to hide. Story 64. My spouse and I do not have access to each other's phones because we believe we both have a right to privacy. My personal conversations with friends and family should be respected, and their words should remain confidential because they were intended only for me. Story 65. Of course I will let them, but ask the same in return. If they do not, you will know. Story 66. If you have nothing to hide, there is no reason your partner should not be able to look at your phone. Story 67. Go for it. I have nothing to hide. I would question why, because they are likely hiding something, not you. Story 68. No problem at all. I have nothing to hide, except around their birthday or at Christmas when I am planning and ordering gifts. I would not look up things on my phone or laptop when I am at their place and connected to their wireless network, because I am afraid they will receive targeted ads when they search for something. Story 69. If he were actively monitoring them, I would see that as controlling, abusive behavior. If he just did not want me to hide them, that is fair enough. I think it is a red flag if your partner is always hiding their messages or keeps a lock on their phone. At home, I have nothing to hide, and if my partner were feeling insecure and needed reassurance, I would have no issue showing him. I also have no issue asking him to check messages for me if a message comes through while I am driving or in similar situations. Story 70. I think it is a red flag if your partner needs that from you, but I also do not have anything they cannot see. I would be more hurt by the request than by what it would uncover. Story 71. From the get-go. No way. Deal breaker. At some point in the relationship, if there is a reason, maybe. Story 72. My wife and I already have this. It has never been an issue and never will be. Story 73. I do not care. Go for it. I cannot remember when I gave her access. It has always been that way. I have always had access to her phone too. We have been married for 5 years and have a baby. I usually need her phone so I can use her one-time password to log into her bank accounts because I manage our finances. She goes through my phone now to look at photos I have taken of our son. It is no big deal for us, but I think we are outliers in this regard. I understand because I had never let anyone have access to my phone until her. Story 74. I do not have anything to hide. Humans need personal space, a place that is just ours. To me, that is my game room and my sport utility vehicle. I would never allow this. I would leave her. Story 75. My mom drilled it into my head. The only person allowed to go through your phone is the person who pays the bill. Always have your own line and pay your own fucking bill. Story 76. You first. 9 times out of 10, the cheating partner is projecting their own insecurity. Story 77. If they are that paranoid and untrusting, they can fuck right off. Story 78. My answer is no. Fuck you for asking. I have never cheated on anyone or been unfaithful in any way. My track record speaks for itself. None of my partners has ever had access to my devices or even asked for it, and I am not going to play that game. Story 79. My wife and I already have this. We both have full access to everything, but neither of us has ever poked around. There is complete trust. Story 80. My wife and I have unrestricted access to each other's accounts. We never snoop because we trust one another, which seems normal to me. Story 81. She has access to my social security number. Who cares about messages and media? Furthermore, even our phone personal identification numbers match. Story 82. Oh no. Until now, she only suspected I was boring. Now she will have proof. Story 83. Not until after Christmas. There is too much evidence of what I am giving them. Story 84. I just handed my phone over. 100% trust and truth in all things. Story 85. I knew a guy exactly like this and know exactly what you or someone asking for help is dealing with. I have a whole list of stories I can share if needed. Run. Story 86. I would give them permission once. I would let them look at anything they wanted, and when they were done I would walk away. If you do not have trust, you should not be in a relationship. My wife had a post this week that blew up, and she wanted to show me, but we do not know each other's usernames, so she just told me. I have no interest in searching her history and reading it, and she has no interest in doing the same with my username. Story 87. I would not care. There is nothing to hide on my phone, but I would wonder why. My partner does not see a need for such things, and we both value privacy. Otherwise, we would not be together. He does know my passcode, and I have left him alone with my phone before with no issues. I trust that he never snooped. Story 88. I'm not hiding anything so they can knock themselves out, but I'm potentially embarrassed by the thought of them reading all the stuff I write in my notes app. Story 89. He can go ahead. I have nothing to hide. My phone contains only gaming apps and random photos. Story 90. I'm all for it and would ask the same in return. This is going to be fun. Story 91. My wife and I already do this. It is not a verbal agreement, but if she needs a picture or a password, she accesses my phone and I access hers. We have been married for more than a decade, and we have never had to question each other's faithfulness. Story 92. They can look at whatever they want. I do not have anything to hide, but it would make me concerned that they do not trust me for some reason. I hope that reason is not that she has things she wants to hide from me and is projecting. Story 93. They would never, but if they did, they would be bored to tears. Story 94. We have each other's passwords. I have never looked at his phone, and I'm sure he hasn't looked at mine, but I wouldn't mind if he did. Story 95. My husband always has access to my phone. I have nothing to hide. The only thing he worries about is how many browser tabs I have open with items I plan to purchase later. Story 96. My wife and I both have it, but neither of us requested it. We have the same personal identification number, and our faces are in each other's phones. We also share our location. Story 97. My significant other and I use each other's phones sometimes. We have nothing to hide from each other. I have registered my fingerprint on her phone with touch identification, and she can unlock mine with facial identification, which makes life much simpler. On my computer, she has her own user session because I prefer not to have Pinterest and Instagram in my browsing history. She knows my session password if needed. Story 98. They already have access. I made sure their fingerprint opens my phone, and they made it so I can use my fingerprint on their phone too. Plus, we already know each other's personal identification numbers. If they are being demanding about it, I would be hurt. But sometimes they just scroll through it because my phone is closer than theirs and they need to look something up or find an old picture. Story 99. I would say there is a big difference between wanting and using. I value my privacy, but I also have nothing to hide. I would probably offer a compromise where we both get access. If they say no, then it is a no from me. Trust is a two-way street after all. Story 100. They already do, and I have it on hers. I do not understand why this would be an issue in a healthy relationship. Story 101. They are going to be really disappointed at how much time I spend on Reddit and how many boring conversations I have with other people about the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing and obscure airplane topics. Story 102. My partner and I have full access to each other's phones and email accounts. This is not to look through them. I have nothing to hide from him. It is for convenience. If my phone goes off while I am driving, I want him to check the message to see if it is important and possibly respond. The reality of military life is that people message and email at all hours and often expect quick answers. When he goes out of town, because he loves photography and can be out of internet range, he wants to know someone is watching his email. The only thing we do not share is access to each other's bank accounts, for obvious reasons. This arrangement developed naturally. I asked him to open my phone while I was driving, and then I registered his face with my phone's facial recognition. He asked me to monitor his email on his first photography trip and gave me the password. We do not snoop. The passwords were given willingly, out of trust. It would have been a very different conversation if one of us had suddenly demanded passwords. That would not have come from a trusting place. Story 103. I do not have anything to hide, so I will agree as long as I have access to their phone. Story 104. My partner and I had full phone access to each other for 15 years. I trusted her enough and rarely checked her phone. When I did, it was only occasionally, and I never assumed she would cheat on me until the last year of our relationship. My lesson is to never trust someone completely and to always remain a little curious. Story 105. I am married. I just do not care. If she asks, I will do it and then find out what is going on. Story 106. Go for it. But if you find something that makes you angry, you hurt your own feelings. Story 107. I don't have anything to hide, but I would wonder why he would want to after being married for more than 30 years. I would be suspicious. Story 108. If my wife asked, I would let her, and the same would be true for me. That said, I have never asked, and she has not either. Story 109. She can have full access, but she wouldn't want it. I can't even recall how often I forget where I put my phone at home. It's always lying around and she could access it whenever she wanted. I simply don't care. If it gives her peace of mind to check something on my phone, she can go ahead. Since she knows I don't mind, she asks me what's going on and I tell her. She never feels the urge to look through it. Story 110. She does, to some extent, even if she does not want to, except for my phone messages, which I do not use. My laptop is in the living room and connected to all social media platforms and email. She can access everything I actually use there. She was ordering some items and I suggested using my laptop because it was easier than using her phone, and now she uses it for tasks that are tedious on the phone. Story 111. My wife has full access to my phone whenever she wants it. I do not have anything to hide, so I do not really care. Story 112. We have access to each other's phones. As far as I know, she doesn't check mine. I don't check hers, and it wouldn't bother me if she did. That being said, my wife is very smart and would not get caught that way if she were to cheat on me. I know it sounds bad to say, but it's the truth. Story 113. I do not have anything to hide, so I would happily hand my phone over if they asked. However, if they wanted to spend hours reading my messages, I would feel that it is an invasion of my privacy and the privacy of my friends. I would also question why they do not trust me. Story 114. Sure, as long as I get the same from you. Once you find nothing, we are done. If I find something, it will go well with the lawyers. Story 115. Okay. I don't like it, but I don't have anything to hide. Why are you suddenly so suspicious? Do you have something you want to tell me? Story 116. I don't mind. We've been together for over half of my life. He already knows all of my secrets. Story 117. She already does. I don't hide any of my private things on my phone. Literally zero time to do that. My daughter is watching Paw Patrol on my wife's phone, and she needs mine to look up a recipe or place a to-go order. No problem. She has my personal identification number. Listening to music while hanging out by the fire and she wants to change the song. No big deal. Same with her. Can't find my phone because my attention deficit hyperactivity disorder brain probably placed it somewhere stupid. I'll just grab hers to look up what I need. My daughter is doing something cute and we want a picture. Just grab the nearest phone. We don't read each other's phones. Story 118. I am only concerned about people in my life seeing my Reddit account. You are fine. I will tell you anything about my life, family, feelings, and more. Story 119. What is there to hide on a phone? If you think I am doing something you are not aware of, or that you did not hear me say out loud, it did not happen. There is absolutely no problem. You can even use my phone if you want. I do not need to check it because I will believe you and wait until the truth is revealed. Story 120. We have access to each other's phones. We have no interest in looking through them. It would be extremely boring. We share any interesting or important content anyway. Story 121. Please do not look at my recap and see why I am listening to Kissing Toads again over 100 times. Story 122. Go for it, as long as I have the same access as they do. Story 123. Go for it. I hope he enjoys my saved recipes and texts with my 5 siblings. Story 124. My husband and I have access to each other's phones, but it is not something we asked of one another. It is not for snooping or because we do not trust one another. I would be very suspicious of anyone who asked for that. Story 125. My partner already knows my phone passwords, and I don't keep anything on my phone that needs hiding. They have never asked to search it. Story 126. I do not care because all my weird stuff is on my laptop. Laughing my ass off. Story 127. Personally, it wouldn't affect me. What would affect me is if she did it because she didn't trust me. Story 128. I already have unrestricted access to their phone, but I have no interest in looking. I have given them my passcode several times, but they cannot remember it. Story 129. She does. We do not check one another's things, but we already know each other's passcodes. Sometimes, if her phone dings with a message and I am closer to it, she asks me to check what it is. Story 130. He already does for no reason other than that I trust him and have nothing to hide. The same goes the other way. It is not like we go through each other's phones. We just have banking apps on different phones, or sometimes need each other's email to receive a code. Story 131. I think it's good to know each other's passwords, but if she were regularly rifling through my stuff, that would be a little nutty. Story 132. She is going to be concerned about the amount of Reddit and YouTube shitposting I do. Story 133. Mine does, but if she suddenly asked for it, that would be weird. Story 134. She would be annoyed with how basic my setup is and complain about the lame game I play. Cheating is for cowards. Story 135. I'd let him, but I'd be giving him side eye and wondering what he was up to. Story 136. She already does, and I have access to her phone. We have mutual trust and would not go through each other's phones or violate each other's privacy. Story 137. I hand her the phone. She already knows the password and will not find anything of interest unless she wants to scroll through my hockey team chat. They are really funny. Story 138. If he wants to read conversations with my kids or him, fine. If he wants to watch an onslaught of animal videos, be my guest. Check my email. I have sent most emails on his behalf. I have nothing to worry about. My thought is, why does he all of a sudden want or need access? Story 139. She has access but is not allowed to snoop. If she does and finds nothing, I am within my right to be as angry at her for snooping as she would have been if I had cheated. My ex used my phone to abuse me, so I am strict about snooping. Story 140. Okay. But do not make it so long that I cannot play my mobile games. Story 141. I do not have a partner, but if I did, I would be comfortable as long as they were technically competent, so I would not worry about them accidentally doing something I did not want. I would also require full access to their phone. Story 142. She has it. No problem. We never give each other a reason to snoop, but she can if she wants, and I can if I want. Story 143. They do not need that. If they want to make a phone call with my phone or look something up, sure, here is my phone. The fact that I am not concerned about incoming messages that they should not see should show that I am not doing anything they would not like. Also, If I ask for his phone to look something up and he says no, I would wonder why. Story 144. My husband and I have accidentally taken each other's phones before. He grabbed mine and went to work, so I was left with his Facebook while he had mine. He has unrestricted access to everything, and I do not care. If he needs to go through my messages to find a conversation about an event, I would not care. Now, if he were actively snooping, I would be angry because he does not trust me, and I do not know why. He would also be disappointed because there would be nothing to find. Story 145. My partner and I look at each other's phones, but we ask permission first. At the start of our relationship, we both snooped and felt guilty. I know she felt guilty too, though I cannot speak for her feelings. She asks to see my phone more often than I ask to see hers because she is more insecure than I am most days. We have been together 7 years, and she can have my phone anytime for any reason. Story 146. Context is key here. If they recently went through a difficult relationship, I would explain that I have no problem sharing some details because I understand their perspective. Over time, I would expect trust to develop. If they remained distrustful, I would be concerned. I would ask that they talk to me first before resorting to snooping. Snooping may calm them briefly, but should be a last resort. If their issue is poor boundaries rather than trauma, I would have a calm conversation about why they want access to my personal information. Depending on that conversation and the number of warning signs, I would respond accordingly. Story 147. I would ask why they do not trust you and let the discussion proceed from there. I would not let anyone access my phone because it is mine. I am not doing anything untrustworthy. And if they do not trust me, let us break up so we can each find someone else. Story 148. My husband has access to all those things. He knows the code to my phone and I know his. Sometimes I do not have my phone on hand and need to look something up, or vice versa. We have nothing to hide, so we do not need privacy when it comes to our phones. Story 149. Most of the time when that happened, she was cheating on me, so I'd be concerned. I would let them have fun, but I would still be worried. Story 150. I couldn't care less, except that I would want to know what was wrong with my partner. I am a 62-year-old woman and have been married for 20 years. Story 151. Go for it. Be warned, though, I have more than 100 tabs open in the Brave browser, and some of them are furry pornography, so good luck. In exchange, I get to see everything on her phone, right? Story 152. I don't think the action itself would bother me, but it would raise concerns about whether it stemmed from trust issues, which I can understand and largely accept, or from an underlying need for control, which I would not be comfortable with. Story 153. I guess, but that pornographic Reddit account is going to blow her mind. When I said weird shit, I meant it. Story 154. It depends on the circumstances. If they ask me this early on as a measure to increase transparency and are fine with me doing it in return, I have no issues. If it comes out of the blue right after I was hanging out with some high school friends who happen to be in town, we are going to need a longer discussion about it. Story 155. He already does, to some extent. He has all my passwords, and if he asks for my phone, I give it to him. He does not snoop on me, so I do not mind. I am not doing anything that would upset him. Story 156. Have at it. Here you go. While you're in there, please clear out the hundreds of emails. I've been meaning to do an electronic declutter. Story 157. Girl, you are not ready for what you are asking. Do you really want to see chats and pictures full of shit posting? That is what you are signing up for. Story 158. I have nothing to hide. I would expect the same access to my spouse's or significant other's phone. Story 159. Yes, but also no. I do not keep a password on my phone because the most valuable things on it are my casual email account and my contacts. I have no financial accounts tied to it. I keep those on a separate computer and email. Anyone who dates me, therefore, has unrestricted access, and I would like to know their password in case of an emergency. That password should be provided on request. I will show them what they want if they have a reason to be suspicious, but how I use my phone and the conversations I have with others who may confide in me about their private matters should not be open for viewing at someone else's whim as a substitute for television. That is not fair to my friends. I say this as someone who caught my ex cheating via her phone and online chats. I respect privacy and expect mine to be respected as well. Story 160. She would find it very boring. Lots of guitar pedals and Dungeons and Dragons nerd stuff. Story 161. Go ahead. There might be an elderly shut in there you do not want to see. Story 162. No problem. She will be disgusted at some of the content, but that is about it. Story 163. Go for it. The only thing that concerns me is if my friends have shared something personal with me that they would not want my significant other to see. Story 164. That is absolutely fine. But I would be very worried about why my husband is acting this way for the first time in 25 years. People often project their own issues onto others, so if he does not trust me, I would wonder whether he can be trusted. Story 165. He already does. If he suddenly started going through my phone as if looking for something, I would wonder what was going on and ask him about it. Story 166. This is far from ideal and indicative of a larger problem. Do not rely on Reddit. Try to understand the feelings and thoughts that lead your partner to make these requests. No one is perfect, and we have all been through experiences others may not easily relate to. Story 167. My husband and I have full access to each other's phones. Because of this, we do not feel the need to snoop around. Story 168. I would shrug because I do not care if he looks at my phone. He already has full access. We are married. The only secret to be found is my list of Christmas presents, stocking stuffers, and Advent ideas. If he spoils his own Christmas, that is his problem. Story 169. That's fine. Just don't delete or log me out of anything. Please. Story 170. I can get into my husband's phone, and he can get into mine, but we trust each other and do not go snooping. Story 171. Two things. First, if they're truly my partner, I have no issues with them having full access to my phone. Second, it is pretty jarring that they would make that request. Why are they so untrusting of me? Story 172. I have nothing to hide unless it's during Christmas and my birthday, which thankfully are around the same time. Story 173. Both my Google Drive and my other work accounts are biometrically locked, so I am not very concerned. I am not trying to hide anything from my partner on my work account, which is accessible to other people at my workplace. Story 174. I honestly do not care. I would probably tell him to free up some space for me while he is in there. Story 175. The only thing I do not have access to is my husband's work computer, because the information on it is confidential and none of my business. I do not check his phone, iPad, watch, or other devices unless he asks me to find something for him. He knows all my passwords. I have no idea if he has ever checked mine, but I doubt it. My children and my grandson all know the passcode to my phone and iPad because my grandson's games are on them. Story 176. Who the hell are you? And what are you doing in my house? Story 177. I would think nothing of it because we already know each other's passwords. If we do not want each other to see something, we make sure it is deleted. Story 178. I have no problem with it. My wife knows my password and can look at my phone anytime she wants. After more than 20 years together, I have no secrets. That said, I could not tell you the last time she checked my phone. Trust is a big deal. Story 179. Okay. I am much more concerned with why than with granting access. Story 180. I am not sure how their method would work. Trust is at the foundation of any human relationship. Story 181. Aside from the toxic gesture of not trusting your partner, I do not care if they look at my phone. In a healthy relationship, I am not playing games. My personal information is open like a book to that person. I would appreciate knowing if they are bothered by something on my phone, so we can discuss whether it is a red flag or a misunderstanding. That conversation helps decide if we are right for each other. If someone looks through my phone and sees something worrying and we cannot discuss it constructively, then we probably should not be together. I want to know if I am being toxic or crossing boundaries. I want my partner to see my flaws and help me become a better person or to move on. It can be painful, but I would rather recognize a toxic situation than remain blind to it by hiding my personal life on my phone. Story 182. I have zero issue with that. My husband and I have full access to each other's phones. We do not go through them, but if we want or need to access an application on the other's phone, we do so without issue. Story 183. We already have each other's passwords for almost everything. If something happened to me, I want him to have easy access to my private information. I keep a list of all my passwords on my phone so he can access them if needed. If I were worried about having to hide things from him, for example, if our relationship went sour or he cheated, I would change my passwords immediately. I and our friends are all boring. Story 184. I don't really care if my girlfriend has access to my phone because I have nothing to hide. As far as I know, she doesn't care if I look at hers either. However, as others have said, if my partner suddenly wanted to inspect my phone for evidence, then we would have a problem. Story 185. I would think I no longer have a partner. If I were feeling grumpy about it, I might let them look through all my devices before telling them. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.